Joining me now, Sam Seder, host of the online daily political talk show and podcast Majority Report, and Eric Boehlert, senior fellow at Media Matters. I'm fascinated by the phenomenon of the fact that the right has managed to take this big money, this infrastructure of an industry that wants to destroy any attempt to deal with the problem, and inculcate this world of people who are just apparently average Joes who spend their time in the comment section of every article ever published. What is the deal with this subculture on the right of global warming paranoid conspiracy theories?
Well, it's using the media as a microphone, as a megaphone. I mean, Rush Limbaugh today talking about, how are the Packers going to play in Wisconsin in January? It's so cold, therefore there's no climate change or global warming. Again, as Mr. Mann just said, we still have winter. It still gets cold in Wisconsin. But again, this is part of a larger movement, sort of anti-science. Just a recent poll came out, fewer and fewer conservatives believe in evolution. These are the people who said the polling from 2012 wasn't going to be accurate. Mitt Romney was going to win in a landslide. So what we're seeing is the big money effort, the political effort, and then the media effort. Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, just repeating this over and over, no matter how dopey it is, that yes, we still have winter.
But it has been successful,
yes,
Sam, in creating this world. I mean, Drudge has been incredibly powerful, I think, in this. Drudge has a thing about climate hoaxism, and he has been leading the charge.
Well, I mean, part of all they have to do is add a question into this. I mean, that is the strategy, the same strategy the tobacco industry had when it came to the dangers of tobacco. But
it worked for 30 years.
And it worked
they delayed
for 30 years, because that's all you really need is there a question? Is this something that is debatable? I mean, this plays into a bunch of different sort of conservative, I guess, ideological strains. The idea that if the notion that if each individual functions in their own best interest, society and theoretically the environment will do better. And of course, climate change debunks that. It also attacks the notion that as a communal effort, we can do something. I mean, so there's a lot of sort of strands to this that the conservative movement does, and ultimately it is just, again, like a lot of other conservative issues, just sort of rationalizations for corporate interests.
Red State's Eric Erickson got theological today. The difference between, this is his actual tweet, the difference between people who believe in the second coming of Jesus and those who believe in global warming is that Jesus will return.
Right. But again, and it's tied into the politics. And the important thing is, there are members of the Republican Party who aren't laughing at this. They regurgitate it. And all the time.
I would say a majority of the Republican caucus. I mean, a majority. If you took the House caucus, and I'm not saying grandstanding for gain. I think privately actually believe this nonsense. Here's Congressman John Fleming from Louisiana. This is his tweet today. Global warming isn't so warm these days. I mean, I think this is an actual belief of these people. I actually don't even think they're putting it on for political purposes.
So my point, I think you're right. And so it would be kind of funny if Fox News did this and Limbaugh did this, but it has real life implications. And Darrell Issa last month, he wasn't having a hearing on global change, but he was saying to someone who didn't like the answer, you need to watch more Fox News. That's where you need to get your information.
I mean, part of this project, too, is that there is a fundamental desire for conservatism to be anti-science. And this is a big, because if you get rid of science, all of a sudden there's a whole cascading impact as to what government can do and based on what. And so it allows everybody to have their own set of facts here. And I think also part of it is just, if they think it gets liberals goats on some level.
That's part of it too. That's part of the algorithm thing. And part of the strange mirror world of climate coverage on the right, I think, is that in some ways I think they end up in right-wing outlets covering the issue more than we do in liberal outlets, because there's nothing. It is sexier and more fun to mock and to say, oh, look at this, than to be like, we are so screwed, America. I don't want to start the show that way.
It's much easier to have a conversation with somebody saying, look out your window. There's no climate change. I mean, the fact is you need a bigger data set than a weekend.
No, but I do think also that they are on this beat in a way that I would say even the mainstream media isn't, Eric. I mean, you guys count this up over at Media Matters, and I feel like the numbers bear out the fact that actually, in some ways, the mainstream media has been largely absent from this, while the right has devoted themselves to pushing this line.
Yeah, no, Media Matters detailed that. Particularly, I think the New York Times has taken a rather dramatic step backwards, and just environmental coverage, and of course, this falls under that. And so, this is one of the red meat beats. You know, they just, when it snows, you make fun of global change, and it gets a response, and everyone laughs on Fox News. And the beauty is, you know, unlike the election where everyone knew the next day that they were wrong about the polling, this just goes on for decades and decades, and they don't have to be held accountable other than common sense.
Right. That is exactly the problem, right?
Total
freebie. Yeah, it's a freebie. It's a freebie. It's a freebie until it isn't, though. And I mean, I think one of the things you see is the inversion of this is when summers do hit, right? When you had the wildfires you had in Colorado, that there are more and more weather events on the warm side that seem directly related to the fact that the overall climate is warming, and it does, I think, get harder and harder for people to, you know, not believe their lying eyes.
I think so, but you know, the argument is one that is rather nuanced. I mean, it's, you know, it's statistical. You know, what are the chances that this is going to happen that many more times? It's increased and it increases more and more each year. That's a much harder case to make, frankly, to a layperson.
Then there's snow in the White House.
There's snow there.
And Al Gore. Sam Seder from the Majority Report, Eric Boehlert from Media Matters. Thank you both.